What does your school day look like? Are you sitting with friends at lunch or are you sitting by yourself? Does everyone know your name or are you hiding in the back of class? If you answered yes to the latter part of those questions and you have people bullying you, today's show is for you. Hey beautiful, welcome to the Pineapple Principle Podcast. I'm your host, Sheri Still, along with my co-host, Talaysha Williams. And I have been bullied. And I know that God tells us in Deuteronomy 31:6, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So we have a great show for you today, so let's check it out. Hey Talaysha, how are you?
Hi, Miss Sheri.
How are things going?
Pretty good.
Good.
The year is kicking off pretty slow.
Slow?
Yeah.
I kind of like the slow pace.
I'm not used to stuff being slow. I don't like slow paced stuff.
So that's what I liked
weird.
about COVID was the slow pace. Yeah. I felt like we got to kick back. But anyways, I'm so glad, excited that you are going to be our guest co-host for season 8. I love it. I love you. I love everything about you. And I just want everybody to know, these are organic conversations for us. Basically, I gave you some topics that we were going to talk about this season, but these are totally organic conversations that we're having. And you know what we're going to talk about, but we just let it go.
Yeah, I'm just trusting my instincts because I didn't know what I was going to say. I really didn't.
But I also want you to know that, if I say something that doesn't sit right with you, I want you to challenge me on it. I want you to say, well, I don't feel that way. I don't want you to just agree with me. I want this to be a good conversation from all perspectives. But anyway, so today we're going to kick off talking about mean girls. So I was not a mean girl. I was on the bullying end. So I want to know, were you a mean girl or did you have to deal with mean girls?
I hung out with the mean girls. Yeah. I've hung out with the mean girls. And yeah, I'll say that. Yeah. And a bunch of the stuff that they did, I got in trouble for it.
So
if I tried it, yes.
You got caught and they didn't, basically.
Yes. I guess because it was expected from them, but not from me.
Oh.
I guess you could say that.
So you did not make a good mean girl.
No.
Because you weren't getting by with it.
I knew my mom was one phone call away. There was one time she literally walked from the house to the school to get me together. So, yeah, their parents didn't show up, but I knew mom was going to show up. So, yeah.
So how did that make you feel though, hanging out with those mean girls? Was it empowering? How did it make you feel?
It made me feel like I wasn't being myself. For one, when I think about it now, one of the things my mom used to always teach us growing up was that you cannot do what others do because you will always get caught. And being young, I'm just kind of like, she don't know what she talk about. But now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, now I see why I couldn't do certain things because there was a certain covering that I had over my life that these girls may not have had. And though I felt like I could get away with it in the moment, in the end, it always turned out I received the consequences. And they were always consequences of love because I had to learn through them. But yeah.
See, mamas are, for the most part, always right.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. I think 100% y'all are right.
I know there's some things that I did as a mom that I could have done way better. I do. I know that. I totally know that. Maybe we shouldn't say that on camera because now my kids will hold that against me. But
yeah, she admits to it.
Yeah. So I was actually, the first time I was bullied, I was probably around 5 years old.
Wow.
Over at the neighbors playing. We were on the swing set. And they had friends over, had, company. And there was the girl was a little bit older than me, and she just started pushing me around and saying mean things to me. And I finally had about all I could take, and I went in the house and I started crying and telling my dad about this girl being mean to me, and I didn't want to be her friend and I didn't want to play with her. And basically my dad was like, you you got to be friends with everybody.
Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
When you're younger.
No. And so, I went back outside, toughed it up, just, we got through it, and the day ended better. I don't know if I ever saw that girl again, but I don't remember ever seeing her again. But yeah, that was my first experience with being bullied. I had never had anybody be mean to me before. And then the next time was in the 6th grade. And there was a girl that she was just, I don't know, there was something about me I guess she didn't like. She would say mean things to me. She would make fun of me. She wouldn't let other people like hang out with me or talk to me. She was the leader of the pack, and like you had to do what she said. And I took that advice from my dad, and I was just like, okay, I got to make her my friend. And I just kept doing everything I could to be nice to her, to talk to her, just to win her over. And I finally did. We became friends, and it's also, that was the same year in 6th grade as when my parents divorced the second time and my mom left. And this person actually became like the friend that helped me get through it the most. Like she was my biggest cheerleader through that, my biggest person that I could lean on, and she really helped me through those struggles. So that turned out like a really great story. And then the third one was in high school. I was a freshman. It was a girl that was a senior. She I'm not trying to be, I don't ever want to judge anybody like by their size, but I was a pretty skinny little scrawny girl, and she was a lot bigger than me.
American
tall. She was she was a lot. She could have hurt me if she wanted to. Like, no questions asked. I wouldn't have came out of that on top.
Yes, no.
And she just would. It was mostly on the bus because we had to ride the bus from the high school back to the elementary school and then catch another bus because we lived in the country. And she just was so mean to me and said such mean things, and I was always like so nervous and just I was a little scared of her. And then finally, about a month into it, she was a few rows behind me on the bus one day going back to the school. I don't even remember what she was making fun of me for or saying. And I just turned around and said, I'm going to pray for you. And she kind of laughed, and I remember she made some kind of comment, but then she never bothered me again, ever again. So I'm thankful for that, because I didn't want to spend my whole high school, my whole freshman year being tormented and being miserable. And it just makes you not want to, go to school or be around people. Yeah. But yeah, so those are my bullying stories. So yeah, that's kind of how it went down for me. And I know I love, I was kind of looking up scripture on bullying. I guess that's one thing I like about Google is you can just like scripture on bullying, because off the top of my head, I'm like, I really couldn't like think of any scripture that would have to do with somebody being mean to you. And I found Proverbs 19:11 was one of them, and I'm not surprised that it came from Proverbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, the two that I found came from Proverbs, and it was, a person's insight gives him patience, and his virtue is to overlook an offense. And I was like,
Person's insight gives him patience.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that?
That part kind of stuck out to me. A person's insight gives them patience. I guess when I think about it, when you know more about the person and what they go through behind closed doors, it kind of, I guess, gives you a different perspective of who they are and what they go through, for one. Like when you think about a bully, the story that we always hear is that when they go home, they deal with abusive parents, or, they're homeless, they don't have anybody and stuff like that. And so, like in the case of the young girl that was on the bus, you didn't know what she was going home to. That was probably the kindest thing she's ever heard. But in that moment, you could have either hit her, or you decided, I'm going to pray for you. And she probably needed that prayer. And, that was a sign of patience in itself, because you could have turned that bus upside down, but
she would have won though. I could have hit her, but she would have won.
That's kind of what I think about when, I guess when you have insight, it gives you patience. So,
And so the other one was Proverbs 26:4. Don't answer a fool according to his foolishness, or you'll be like him yourself.
It's like, don't fight fire with fire, or you will get burned too.
Yeah. It makes me, like, I always say, kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
That's because I've, even as an adult, had people that, like, on a job, I've had people be mean and try to bully me. And there's times when I want to say something mean back. And, like, because I feel like it can come out like if it wasn't for the love of Jesus, I would probably be a mean girl. I honestly believe that. I've said that before. But sometimes you don't know what the other person's going through. And I had one person in particular as an adult who was just always, she would just say the meanest, like, snide comments. And and it was more of all of my bullying has pretty much been verbal. It's never been physical. Except for the girl pushing me when we were little. But I recently learned that one person, it came out that she was sexually abused.
Oh, wow. And
so now it kind of made me understand her more. And I think, it's not right to ever accept bullying and say it's okay. We shouldn't take it. Like, if you're being bullied, you should go tell someone. If you need help, it's not you, it's the other person that has the problem. And I think that's what we have to remember, is that they're the one who really needs the help. And by us going and getting help and letting someone know that they're bullying you, especially if it's physical, you need to tell someone, because they're really the one who has the deeper problem, and they're the one who needs help. And if you just act out and retaliate in the same way they are, you're going to be the foolish person just like them.
Yeah. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. Because for one, you don't want people to see you small. You want them to see you big. Like, if you're going to get up there, I'm going to get up there with you too. But, for other people that have not seen you that way, it's kind of like so you're just as bad as she is. Mm-hmm. Like, we expected more out of you. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I've been in positions like that where I have fought fire with fire, and it didn't feel good afterwards. Mm-hmm. Because it just felt like I let what they were giving off take over me, and let it work through me in moments like that, especially when it comes to arguments. I hate arguments. But, in those moments where your emotions are on 10, you can't really control what comes out. But we do have the power to control it at the end of the day.
We do.
And it just never turns out good in the end. So
no. And one of my granddaughters has dealt with a little bit of bullying, and I've told her, I'm like, just walk away. You don't have to listen to that. You don't have to accept it, and they're the ones with the problem. And a couple of weeks ago, I was asking her how her day was, and she said, well, so-and-so started saying this about me. And I said, what'd you do? And she said, I walked away.
Okay, girl.
And I was like, good for you. She's like, I just walked away. And I was like, good, because you don't have to listen to that, because they're the one with the problem.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what, as a Christ follower, we do. We're human,
Yeah.
Flesh rises up and we want to respond. We don't want anybody to say anything mean or do anything mean or negative to us. Like, what this defense the armor comes on, but it's not the right armor.
Yeah.
And I think we have to learn to count to 10 and not, think it before you open your mouth, or you do. You just have to turn around and walk off. Yeah. Like, there is nothing weak. You're actually the stronger person by turning around and walking away and not giving into that foolishness. Yeah. As Proverbs says.
Well, I would say, like, the hardest part in society today is walking away.
Mm-hmm.
Just simply because walking away, and as the kids would say at school, being a simp.
Oh, is that a new thing?
I guess.
Okay.
I guess.
I heard a new one the other day. Somebody was saying something the other day, and I was like, okay, yeah.
I feel like that person that's just like, oh, I'm getting old. Cause I could always keep up with like the words and stuff like that. That's besides the point. But I guess being weak in today's society is the bad thing. I guess walking away is like a weakness for people. It's kind of like, no, you got to stand up for yourself. You got to be the boss. You got to tell people how to treat you. You know, you have to put your foot down. When in reality, it takes so much energy to put that kind of image out of yourself rather than just walking away in peace. And you'll confuse the enemy more and people more when you kill them with kindness and when you walk away. I know for me growing up, my mom used to sometimes say the same thing, especially when it came to boys. That thing they say, oh, he's only bothering you because he likes you. And
yes.
like,
yes. I've said that before.
I'm
yes.
like, no, like, I can't believe I believe that. But it's, when you're younger, it's so hard to walk away when these are the things that you experience on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're at school. You're literally at school almost 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. You see these people every day, and you have classes with these same kids. And it's hard, especially when you have a teacher or any admin that's not helping or advocating for you. It's really hard, and you feel like, in a sense, like my parents aren't here. I have nobody here. It's just me. I have to stand up for myself. And like you were just talking about with the scripture, we end up looking like the person that was doing the bad to us. But it's just so hard when society tells us, no, you got to stand up for yourself. But we have wise people in our ear as well telling us, like, no, walk away.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's like a win-lose with the two sometimes.
Yeah.
And especially with adulting as well. I mean, we all work jobs where we want to be respected in any way, shape, or form. And people talk and they do what they want to do. But it's even harder as an adult as well. But, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be talked to that way. You don't need to be physically bullied, verbally bullied.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right.
Yeah.
No one should be treated that way. But I think sometimes you need to ask for help. I think you do need to go to an adult and say, hey, this person's bothering me. Let somebody be aware of the situation. But a lot of times I think then the next best thing to do is not fight fire with fire, like you said, and to walk away. And they're going to, if they realize too that it's not bothering you, that they're not getting under your skin, especially with the verbal stuff, they're going to stop. Because they want to get a rise out of you.
Yeah,
they want to.
exactly.
They want to keep going until they make you look like the fool for saying or doing something. And so I think a lot of times that is the best thing to do, is just to walk away and not fight fire with fire. But if you are physically getting abused, you've got to get help, because you can't let someone keep treating you that way. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You need help. You do not deserve for somebody to do that to you.
Yeah, and it kind of, Lord, I feel like it's on my heart, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Like, I work in elementary school, so in the front office. So I see a bunch of kids that come in and out that are crying, like, this person said this about me, or, this person hit me, or, they said this on the bus. They said this when we're going home. And it's sometimes like, even when these kids do speak up, the people that are in place to advocate for them, they don't truly advocate for them. And that's the saddest part about it. Because these kids, they experience a different mental state than we ever have seen ever before.
Yes.
Just like, these are 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds that are getting introduced to internet, to different images each and every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, we literally have to be there for them, because it's not just bullying physically. This is cyberbullying. When they're scrolling, they see this every day. Different group chats that they're seeing, video games and all this different stuff where people can just say anything and just hide their hands. And like, it's a sad thing to see, especially when, for me, for example, it may not be my position, but I know I can't step out of what I'm doing to take over somebody else's job. But it also has to do with a lot of people being overworked. They can't carry the load of a child's emotions because of the stuff, the school system is placing on them. And also with parents as well, it is also important for you guys to be involved with what's going on at the school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also to talk to your kids about what's going on at school, because it's so easy for us to say something and advocate for them, but if you as a parent are not advocating for the child, it makes it 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, in some cases, the parents are that same bully that they face at home.
Yeah.
And they experience the same thing at school. And it leaves these kids in a place of, okay, who do I turn to? Nobody's doing anything about what I'm saying. I'm crying out, but I don't know what to do, in a sense. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I felt the need to share that as well.
No. And because we have parents that listen, and parents need to know they need to advocate. And to end with that, I also want to say, if you go to if you're listening to this podcast and you use well, I've tried to get somebody to help me and they haven't, then go find somebody else. Mm-hmm. Don't give up. Just go, keep asking for help until you find the person that's going to help you. Do not get discouraged. Keep asking. And I've always said, reach out to me. I will help you be a resource. Reach out us through email or on DM us on social media. We don't only want to pray with you, but we'll find the resources to try to help you if you're in a situation that you're not getting help with. We want to be that community for people. So as a former mean girl, I'm not going to let you live this down for a while.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
I didn't expect you to give me that answer.
I'm sorry.
But no, seriously. As you former mean girl, what would you say to the girls that are listening that are being the mean girls? They're not being bullied, but they're the mean girl. What would you say to them?
It's okay to step away and be yourself. You don't have to follow what they do to be accepted. It's pretty much okay to step away and be yourself. And that's one of the things I wish I would have told myself then, because the main reason I would gravitate towards these certain group of girls was to be accepted. Yeah. It's kind of like when you think about the movie Mean Girls, the old one, not the newer version. Okay. We were just talking about this, but when you think about the movie, when Caddy, she first started at the school, she had just moved from Africa, never been in the city, so she stood out.
Yeah, she
did. But once she started to hang around this certain group of girls, she became them.
Yes.
And she wanted to be accepted. And that's kind of I feel like what happened to me. I moved to the city. I started going to a private school, but then I went to a public school. I started out, the young girl that wore uniforms, khakis, blue shirt. But when I look around, I see all these different girls with Aeropostale, polos on, the jewelry, hair certain ways, kind of like, I want to be just like them. They're getting all the attention. I want that same attention. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Mom, I need this. And it just put on an image that I didn't like, even at a young age. Mm-hmm. It was like I was being one person at school, but when I got home, I was another person. And it's kind of like you're fighting between the two, because sometimes the person at school comes home and sometimes the person from home comes to school, and it's just kind of like, okay, who are you? So, you have anything, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to step out and be yourself.
And I think that's what we have to remember too, is that God created us all different. Yeah. We all, what someone may think is quirky or weird, God's going to use that in some amazing way to do some amazing things with you. He knew us before we were born. He created us all so different and special. And I think I've talked about how, on a previous podcast, about how snowflakes are all different. No two snowflakes are alike. And that's how God created us. And snowflakes are beautiful. And I don't like the cold in the snow, but watching it come down in the snow, it's a beautiful thing. And that's how God created us. We're all unique and special, and we all have different gifts and abilities. And I know sometimes when you're young, nurturing those gifts and knowing how to steward that and to get into what He created you to be can be a little difficult. Yeah. But find somebody, talk to somebody, pray about it. Ask God to give you guidance on it. Talk to your parents, your youth leader, a mentor. Get in your word. Read your Bible and learn why He created you to be the unique person you are. And it's not, He didn't create you like that for somebody to be mean to you. He created you for a reason. And sometimes it just takes some of us a little bit longer to figure out what that uniqueness is. But that's what we have to remember, is that if somebody's making fun of you because of that, God's got a big plan for you and that uniqueness and that creativity or whatever it is about you that people are not understanding, that it's gonna come to the light, and you're gonna do great things with it. And just like, be yourself, love yourself, and be who God created you to be. And don't let anybody tell you that there's something wrong with you.
So I think this will be a challenging question, because it made me think, like, so what do we do for the young women that don't have that? Pray about it, go talk to your mentor, go talk to your youth group leader. Like, what do we do about those girls? Because I feel like, in a case, those are sometimes the mean girls, in a sense. They go home to a bunch of negative stuff. They go home to social media and all this different stuff. It's just kind of like, how do we get what we're resourced with to them? I guess, yeah.
That's a good question. that is so good. But we have a mentoring program. So if you need a mentor in your life, then reach out to us, on social media or through email. You can, our website, everything is in the show notes. You can reach out to us. If you need a mentor or somebody in your life to talk to, that is what we're here. That is what we do. That is our purpose, is to not only help you walk in your spiritual health, but also to help you in your mental health as well, and to be the person that God's created you to be. And then always, like, we've got, if you're not a regular listener, we've got podcasts on all kinds of different subjects and things that you can go back to and listen to. And we've got devotional books that you can get a hold of. And but reach out to us. That is, we want to be your mentor. We want to be your person. We don't want to leave any girl, left out. So yeah, we're here to be that mentor and that person for you.
I wish kids in the school system had resources like this. If I'm honest, there's a big lack of resources when it comes to bullying, so to say, and I just wish the church could be more involved with that. But it's so many opinions and so much he say and she say. It's really sad, and I just wish. I guess I gotta pray more on it, but
maybe God's calling you to do something.
Ooh. It's been a thought, but it's also a scary thing when you're going against, well, I can't say that. It's not a scary thing when you're going against the world, because you have God on your side. But when you feel like you're one person going against an army of 10,000 opinions, it's really a sad thing. It really is. And I know sometimes the things that I can say to some of my coworkers at work, they're just kind of like, we don't do that here. Or, no, that's too much. But it's not. These kids are literally the next generation. And sometimes I can look at them and be like, we are doomed. I don't think we're going to survive after 10 years, because these are the kids that we're trusting in the doctor's office. But it's just a lack of wisdom. It truly is. And if we allow social media to consume these kids, it's just, we're going to allow the world to continue to define them. Yeah. And like you said, you have so many topics that are not talked about to some of these kids, and they need it. Literally, there are a bunch of kids that know about sex at the age of 8, and that is so sad, because at the age of 8, I was playing. Well, I take that back. I was not. I talked about it in the last podcast. Before 8, I was playing with baby dolls and whatnot. But once I was exposed to it,
it changed your world.
It changed my world. And the same thing with bullying. It changed a lot about how I would see these girls treating other girls or boys as well, especially those who didn't have what we had. You know, those who came to school smelling a certain way, those who came to school dressed a certain way. It's like we talk down on them just because they don't have what we have. And growing up, I wish I would have knew better, but I'm glad I learned from it.
Yeah.
Because they were experiencing something that I wasn't experiencing, and I had a bunch of stuff going on at home that they may not have been experiencing.
Yeah.
But it's a sad world.
I think to end this, we need to just say, show more kindness.
Yeah.
Show more love. If you see somebody sitting alone at the lunchroom table, or in class, or nobody wants to do a project with them, and they may be the person who smells a little funny, and, you know, be their friend, you know, help them, be that person, show that kindness, show that love. Don't be that mean girl. Be the person who is the advocate for the other person and goes the extra mile to show kindness and to show God's love in the world. Be a light.
Be a light. Yeah. You never know what you can bring out of that person just by having a conversation with them.
Yep.
Literally. That's it.
Yep.
Jesus talked to people that smelled funny too.
Yep. Yeah. Or look different, or
Yeah.
He didn't hang out with the rich fancy people.
No.
He hung out with the everyday common people.
Exactly. They wanted him to, but
yeah.
No, he chose to be down below with everybody else. But yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Kindness goes a long way.
Kindness goes a very long way.
We hope today's show encouraged you and gave you a few aha moments, and most importantly, have you digging deeper in your relationship with Jesus. Make sure to check out the show notes for any scriptures or books we mention, and if you love the podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen and share it with a friend. And if you want to know more, follow us on Instagram or go to our website, pineappleprinciple.org. Until next time, stand firm in your faith, own your crown, and love like Jesus.